Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name again is Janan Kamranoho, and I'm the Managing Director, Jonah Key Holdings Limited. Today I'm going to share on an interesting topic called stewardship. Stewardship. How do you steward your resources? How do you steward your resources? Stewardship is today's topic. So when I say stewardship, what comes to your mind? What do you understand by stewardship? There's been a confusion between stewardship and ownership. If I have apartments, if I have houses, if I have investments, I think I own those investments. And ideally, in a lay understanding, you own those businesses, you own those investments, you own those apartments, you own that land. And yet, we are told, we are commanded by the word of God to be stewards. Ownership means having a right over something. If I have an apartment, I own it. So I have rights. I have concrete rights over it. I can choose to decide who to rent there or who to stay there. I can choose to sell it or not. If I have a business entity, if I have a company, I own it. So I can choose to sell it or not to sell it. I can choose who to employ or not to employ. That's what lay understanding defines. However, we have a new twist, a better way of understanding, a better way of looking after God's resources, and that is stewardship. Stewardship, it means you're responsible, meaning that you're entrusted with that resource for a reason. And you're just entrusted. You're just responsible. You're just responsible because our time here in the world, on earth, is finite. It is very finite. If you live long, you live for maybe 120 years. And that's when, if you live long, you really lived long. Maybe 100 years, maybe 120 years. But after then, you leave this earth. So who now becomes the owner of the property? Maybe a children's children, maybe a children. But how did you steward it? How did you take responsibility of that property? So stewardship means managing, taking care of, looking after, to the glory of God. To the glory of God. And for the betterment of God's creation. If I have a company, if I have a business, and I'm employing maybe 100 people, I'm being a good steward. Because there are a lineup of families that are feeding on that business. There are a lineup of lives that I'm touching through that business. I'm stewarding that business well. If I'm running a business and I'm corruption free, our books of accounts are clear, our transactions are straight, I'm being a good steward. I'm being a good steward. I'm taking responsibility of that resource in a good way, in a God-honoring way. Psalms 24:1 says, the earth and everything thereof belongs to God. Even ourselves, we belong to the Lord. So all the things that we own are entrusted to us. Have we been good stewards? Have we stewarded those resources well? And this does not apply to business people only. It does not apply to companies that we have. It does not apply to our individual things only. But even the jobs that we have, in government institutions, in different ministries, departments, and agencies. Wherever we are deployed, are we being good stewards? Are we being good stewards? Are we good stewards? Because you're there for a specific period of time, and the Lord has deployed you there for a specific period of time. How are you stewarding that job? How are you stewarding that opportunity? Are you being the service to the public whose taxes actually pay your salary? Are you doing service to the public? Because you're setting a precedence for the generations to come. Are you being a good steward? So it's a good question to ask ourselves. Wherever you are, if you have an investment, if you have a business, if you work on a job, if you have entities, have it at the back of your mind. Ask yourself, are you being a good steward? Are you taking good care of that property that you have? I'll give an example of being a good steward. Let's say you drive a car and you want to sell it. But the way you handled, perhaps it was, it's all knocked. The tires are worn off, the brakes are dead. Someone will offer you a price commensurate to how the car looks like. But just like car dealers, if someone buys it and, repaints it, puts shocks, brakes and everything, and tires, new tires, you might find if you sold it at 10 million, someone might actually sell it at 20 million, twice the price. Because you did it very well than how you did. You didn't take good care of the car that you actually sold, so it fetched little money for you, and the other person who acquired it took good care of it, and he benefited more. So he was paid for being a good steward. He was paid for being a good steward, for taking good care of his car that he acquired. So if you become good stewards of the things that we have, the value appreciates. The value of those properties appreciates. If you have apartments and you don't take good care of them, the value will go down. If you have land and you don't take good care of it, the value will may become constant, but it might not appreciate to the way it would have appreciated. And this even applies to our lives. If you don't take good care of your life, you might not live to see your children or your children's children. You might live to have complications in your life. Different issues arise because we don't take good care of our lives. You drink a lot, you smoke a lot. You actually know the implication of what you're doing to your life. You know the implication, because even on cigarette packets, cigarette smoking can be harmful to your health. You actually know that it is harmful to your health, but you still smoke. You ain't being a good steward of your life, of your health. You very well know that if you eat those fast foods all through Monday to Sunday, it will have an implication in your life. But you still insist and eat those foods, but also you don't work out. So meaning that you're not being a good steward of your body, of your health. Complications will arise just because you've not worked on your body. So you're not stewarding your body well. So the results will show. The ailments that you get, the complications that you get. Because we are given a mind that, we are tempted to think that stewarding means, managing other resources. But even yourself, you have to take care of yourself as a person. If you have to serve the Lord in good health, then you have to steward your life, your health, very well. In a way of being a good steward. But if you intoxicate your body you ain't being a good steward to your body. For your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. We are here to serve the Lord, serve the public. Because if you serve the people, you actually serve the Lord. Talk of your mind. How do you improve your mind? I shared in my previous sharing, in the clip, how to add value to yourself. Your mind. What value are you adding to yourself? What material do you consume? What thoughts? Joshua 1:8 says it. Our thoughts have an implication on our lives. Our thoughts. We are meant to meditate on the word of the Lord day and night. It says in Joshua chapter 1. Material that adds value to yourself. What material do you consume? What courses do you enroll on? Do you improve on yourself anyway? Do you add value in yourself anyway? That means you're not being a good steward, even to your mind. Even to your mind. You ain't being a good steward. Because we're entrusted with these things, to use them to serve God's creation, for the betterment of God's creation. We are entrusted with these things to serve God's creation. To serve God's creation. But what are you using the resources that you're entrusted with for? Are you stewarding them very well? Are you using them to serve humanity? Are you even taking good care of them? If you have a property, are you taking good care of it so that it can appreciate in value? If you have land, are you doing any productive activity on it so that it can appreciate in value? Because when you add value, the property can actually give you cash flow. It can give you cash flow. It can give you cash flow. So are you taking good care of that property? Are you taking good care of that property? We have several resources. Are we taking good care of those resources that the Lord has entrusted with us? Talk of people. The friends that you have. If you don't take care of the friendships that you have, by the time you realize they'll get out of your hands, you lose them. You lose them. If you fix an appointment with someone and you agree on 10 a.m. in the morning and you show up at 11, someone will take you to be unserious. And by the time you realize, if he's been calling you twice a week, he calls you once. By the time the month ends, he calls you once in a month. That's because you don't look serious. You don't take him serious. Because anything that you attach value to, you commit to it. And whatever you commit to expands. Whatever you focus on expands. The friendships that we have, are we being good stewards of the friendships that we have? Do we handle them well? Do we steward them well? I'll share with you an example, because almost all entities that are thriving now have been supported by one or two people, colleagues, friends. If you read people's biographies, if you read people's stories, their lives have been impacted by their colleagues, by their friends. So if you don't take care of the friendship that you have, you could be trampling on your resource. You could be trampling on your future. You could be trampling on your riches. I'll share with you an example. Jonah Key Holding does money lending. We've been doing that since 2012. But before we grew to the level we're at by God's grace, we used to struggle with resources. A client comes for money, but you run short of money. And yet, you've gone through every process and you've verified the security and everything. So what I would do, I engaged one of my colleagues, one of my friends. They also had a fully fledged institution. They were at another level. And what I would do, I'd call him, tell him I've run short of money, and yet I have a client whom I've fully verified. I want to access a facility. I would access a facility maybe at 10%, and I give out, I lend out the money at 12% or 15%, and I get a difference of 5%. I was using other people's money, someone else's money. But the moment the client paid, the first priority, even if some other client paid, not necessarily the one I gave the money I got from them, I would make sure he's on my top list to pay back. Because I had to nurture that friendship. I had to nurture that resource. That friendship was a resource. Some of us, we have friends who are just a liability all the time. You're not learning one or two things from him. He's not even learning anything from you. Can we step up ourselves? Can we, for God's glory, can we step up ourselves? Can we polish each other? Can we weigh the friendships? Is this worth it? Is this worth it? Is it worth my time? Is it worth my commitment? People will comment on you being proud, or perhaps you're showing off, you're proud, you befriend selectively. But at the end of the day, when you establish an entity that will employ 1,000 people, those very people who are speaking ill against you will come to side with you. I was reading the book of Nehemiah. If you're doing great business, people will come to disorganize you. People will come to destabilize you. But if you're not focused, if you're not firm on your ground, you can get destabilized. Nehemiah was building a great wall, and Sanballat was disturbing him, calling him for a meeting, for a what, and the intentions were even ill. But he said, I'm on great business, I'm doing great work, I do not have time to waste. I do not have time to waste. So colleagues, can we focus to steward the things that the Lord has entrusted with us? Because we are stewards. We are stewards of God's resources. And there are very many resources. There are very many resources. People are a resource. Our minds are a resource. The properties that we have are a resource. How are we taking care of the resources that the Lord has entrusted with us? Because that will define whether the Lord will entrust us with more or not. In Matthew 24:21, remember the master, how he said to the subordinate, "Thank you, good and faithful servant. Since you've taken good care of this, I can entrust you with more." There are lots of benefits that we realize, that we actually can ably realize sustainably if we take good care, if we take good steward of what we are entrusted with. Because stewardship looks at sustainability, transgenerational. If you're starting that entity, start to the mind of generations to come. For even the Bible says it. We work to leave inheritance for our children's children. Not our children only, but our children's children. So as you're establishing the institution, as you're establishing that company, as you're starting that business, as you're establishing the structures, have it in mind. So that entity that you're starting is not to benefit you alone, but your children and your children's children, but the public and generations to come. Have it at the back of your mind. And that will help you in decision making. A decision will come and it becomes very, very easy to make, just because you're very certain. You're very certain of the vision of your company. You're very certain of the dream that you have at hand. You're very certain. Some decisions will become very, very easy to make because you're very certain. And how joyful will it be to the Lord? How proud will the Lord be to you for having done the right thing? And you'll be entrusted with more. Because if you're faithful with little, then you can actually ably be entrusted with more. But if you cannot take care of a small entity, if you cannot take care of even yourself, so how will the Lord entrust you with more? How will the Lord entrust you with bigger things? If your company with only 5 staff are still struggling, they are missing their salaries, they are getting cut-offs that can't be explained, you are not even paying NSF, defaulting on NSF. No? Sometimes you charge them abnormally. How will the Lord entrust you with managing staff of maybe 1,000? How? If you can't take care of the 5 that you have at hand, how will He entrust you with more staff? How will He entrust you with a bigger company? Because you failed Him on the small one He has tested you with. Many times we anticipate to have bigger things, big things, greater things, huge institutions, huge companies, huge businesses. But huge businesses mature from the small ones that you're entrusted with. Very few companies, unless it's a franchise, start at that level. If you read biographies, people have started small. They appreciate the process and they grow with the business. Then they start having branches. Then they start having franchises. Because they are good stewards, they get rewards of expansion. But if you've not stewarded what you have as of now, however small it is, at that particular level, how will you be entrusted with bigger? If you're in the corporate world, you're employed somewhere, maybe you're an officer or a senior officer, how will you be promoted to a level of manager or director when you've not stewarded that position at that level? When you've not performed satisfactorily at that level? When you've not exceeded the minimum limits, minimum levels at that particular level, how will you be promoted to another level? Because you're not being a good steward at that level where you're at. You ain't being a good steward, so you cannot be entrusted with more. And before long, that's why some of the businesses actually fail. Because we look very near. We look very near. Our intentions is just to have, close that deal. You don't want to know what comes after. You don't care about the customer care. You don't care about what the client will perceive. You don't care about, because it's just term gains that you're going to get from that deal. But a good steward does not look at that alone. If an institution is built to last, if it is to transcend generations, the visionary, the owner of that business, has to have that focus, has to have that steward heart, to know that in doing perfect work, you're serving the Lord and you're serving His people. And we serve a Lord of excellence. You have to be excellent in all that you do. In Colossians 3:23, it says, do everything excellently as though you're doing it as unto the Lord. If you're serving your clients, are you serving them as unto the Lord? So sometimes you'll be lazy, sometimes you'll be weak, sometimes you feel like, I'm running short of energy, I'm drained. But what is it that pushes you? You have to know that you're a steward. And you have to keep pushing. And you have to keep doing excellently. Because in that, you're serving God. If his people are happy, he's also happy. You're serving God. And in a way, you're being a good steward. Even if it's in marriage, you're married. How do you steward that marriage? How do you steward your spouse? How do you take care of that marriage? Because whatever is not stewarded well goes to ruins. Whatever is not stewarded well goes to ruins. It's just a matter of time. If you look at a company that is not stewarded well, that is not taken good care of, it's a matter of time before it closes. You even know some of the examples of the companies, of the businesses. Before long they close. Why? Because they were not stewarded well. The owner of that company, perhaps, or of that business, was looking at the short-term gain at the expense of the future, at the expense of the generation. So what befalls the family which was going to benefit from that business? What befalls the family which was going to get employed in that business, and yet it closed? Because you're bad steward. You didn't take good care of it, so it has closed. You have affected generations and generations. People who are going to be employed in that company cannot get employed. Or they cannot thrive. Families cannot live just because the Lord has planned that that your entity will employ these kind of people. But just because you're a bad steward, thing crashes. Because you're looking at short-term gain. Can we look at things transgenerational? Can we look at things at a generational level? And in a way we shall be stewarding our resources very well. And it cuts all aspects of life. It cuts all aspects of life. So guys, I beseech you that we should be good stewards of the resources that the Lord has entrusted with us. We are not owners of those resources, but we are stewards. And we have a choice to steward them well or not to steward them well. But either way, we have to account for the resources that the Lord has given us. But what would the Lord say? In your evening years, will he say, good and faithful servant, you have served me with your property, with the resources I've given you? What would the Lord say? Have you stewarded well my resources? Thank you, good and faithful servant. I entrusted with the resources, you've stewarded them well. Thank you. Welcome to the glory of the Lord. Welcome to heaven. So guys, if there's anything we should pick, let's know that all the things that we own, all the things that we have, we are not owners, but rather stewards. And we should be accountable to the Lord. And we should be responsible enough. We should be responsible enough for all the things we've entrusted with. And it's only then that they can grow, and it's only then that they can transcend generations. And it's only then that they will have an impact on the people that the Lord has actually assigned to have them on. Otherwise, you'd rather not even start that entity. You'd rather not even start that business if you know you're not going to take good care of it. I thank you so much. check out our website of the services that we offer. We do business coaching and mentorship. Jonaki Holdings also gives out loans, supports business entities. And yes, let's take good care of the resources that the Lord has entrusted with us. Thank you for tuning in, and God richly bless you. Thank you.